This here is a ginormous squash plant, and there is a lot of leaves, a lot of flowers, a lot of tendrils happening on it. And there is a lot of hacks out there on the internet in regards to what you should prune, where you should prune it, including leaves, runners, suckers, tendrils, flowers. You get the idea. And actually, someone on the Geek Crew sent me this video over on Instagram, a small little kind of snippet where she eliminated flowers, tendrils, and leaves for kind of the bottom portion and left everything upper and et cetera. And it's all in the name of trying to get higher yield. So today's video, like always, we dug into the science in regards to what exactly you should be doing with a beautiful vining plant like this to actually get better, higher yields. So let's talk about it. So the common theme we see with kind of that Instagram post that someone on the Geek Crew had sent me, or any kind of post in regards to these plants, tomatoes, cucumbers, squash. This is a very fuzzy leaf. Oh my God. I could cuddle up with this leaf. Why are you so... Oh my good Lord. There's a sensory wonderfulness found on a leaf. I digress. I don't know what this is. I don't label my plants. This is a squash of some sort. Could be a pumpkin, could be a butternut, could be a spaghetti, could be, who knows, could be anything. But it's a squash nonetheless. The discussion had was that if you remove, for example, kind of all these new flowers that are forming, all of these leaves that we're getting action on, some of these tendrils, we're putting energy into this new growth up here. And this is where we want new leaves, we want new tendrils, and we want new flowers. So rather than focusing on keeping kind of this part of the plant going, we want to keep this part of the plant going. So if we remove the distraction off the plant, it will refocus into this area. I mean, the logic there is very sound. But like I said, we're going to break down each individual bit, flower, leaves, and tendrils, and suckers to determine kind of what makes sense to remove versus what doesn't make sense to remove. But in general, when it comes to pruning any plant, again, the idea, if we're not pruning for the purpose of disease or pests or competition for light and nutrients, we're pruning for the purpose of removal for distraction is what I'm going to name it. That is not a technical term. That is not what the internet has labeled it as, but that's the sensation. That's the vibes. It's the vibes I get off of what people are trying to do. Remove distraction from the plant. Let me know if that makes any sense at all. It could be sounding like just a complete dum-dum. So let's look at number one, the removal of leaves. So this here is another squash of some sort, and there's a lot of leaves on it. So the idea here is that the leaves, the older leaves, are taking away from the production of the newer leaves because they are a burden. Here's the thing. A plant is not like a bank account. There isn't just like a finite amount of money, unless you're in Canada, then there's probably no money in that bank account, but I digress. Anywhere else in the world, you probably have some money in your bank account, and there's a finite amount in that bank account, unfortunately. And so the idea here is if you have several accounts, maybe you have a savings account, maybe you have an investment account, a sinking fund, a regular checking account. If you get $10,000, you have $10,000 in it. You need to have so much money in every little space to make sure your emergency fund is stocked, your investments are still taking place, you're able to pay your bills, et cetera, and so forth. There's a limited amount, and you have to move that strategically. And sometimes we have to choose. So, for example, we have to choose to not put money into our interest account, into our investment account, because we don't have any money to invest that month. So we have to redirect our money elsewhere. Plants don't work like bank accounts. It's not the case at all. Every single leaf on a plant is a hub for photosynthesis. Each individual leaf is contributing carbohydrates to the plant as a whole via photosynthesis. If the leaf looks happy, healthy, it's not yellowed, it's not ripped, it's not wilted, it is doing its job. The removal of the solar panel is the equivalent of exactly that, the removal of a solar panel. You remove it, you're capturing less energy. And so what I would rather you look at kind of leaves as is energy producers, not energy removers. Now, this isn't just me talking about defoliation causing issues. Researchers have found time and time and time again defoliation of healthy leaves and even these older kind of yellowing leaves results in net decrease of your yields time in, time out. Now, defoliation can happen due to powdery mildew, due to pests, due to mechanical removal, due to you just thinking they need to be removed. There's a number of ways that mechanical defoliation or defoliation can happen, but every single time, regardless of the reason for why, even if it's a disease or a pest problem where you absolutely have to remove it in order to kind of keep what's going, there is a yield decrease. That is just a fact of the matter. So if you've got, a little bit of a pest issue or a disease issue, my rule is that is the nature tax. And so long as it stays under 30%, it's okay. So I used to have a t-shirt that used to say nature tax on it, and it used to have like a fungal spore, a cucumber beetle, and then I think a hornworm or something like that. It's 30%. So if 30% or more of the plant is affected, that is when it's time to intervene via mechanical manipulation, removal of leaves, that sort of thing. If it is less than 30%, you defoliating that plant is just going to cause the same issue as if you were to just leave that kind of slight little damage in place. So just keep that in the back of your head when you're determining whether or not to defoliate for another purpose other than the crazy purpose of for somehow, some way thinking that it has something to do with it taking energy, just in the back of your head. So no, defoliation in any capacity is always bad. The next one is tendrils, and this has got nothing to do with tendrils. This is literally just me wanting to show you my castor leaf bean I grew, and its leaf is the size of me. This one's even bigger, and it's making even more bigger ones. So that's kind of cool. Completely unrelated, but tendrils. You guys know what tendrils are. They're those really sticky looking stringy things. Those are something that are said to need to be removed. Here's the thing. There's no research on whether or not you should remove the tendrils. I'll be completely honest with you in that capacity. And that's probably because they're so freaking tiny and the impact that they have on anything is so small and minuscule that there's been no need to research it. And therefore, I'd like to chalk this up to, and again, this is just my opinion because there's no research to back this up, but I'd like to chalk this up to like removing your toenails or your fingernails, I guess, more so, to run a marathon because it adds like so many grams of weight. It's pointless. It causes stress. It opens sites for more disease and problems. Just leave the tendrils alone. Like that's just dumb. That's just dumb. And I don't like to be mean and call people stupid. Everyone's got to take their own journey when it comes to gardening, but that's dumb. Whoever thought of that? You made that for content. You recommended that for content. But with that being said, if you want more content that is science-based and not clickbaity at all, please hit that subscribe button. Sharing is caring. Subscribing is caring. AI, YouTube channels, gardening channels are what's taking over the universe. I've been around for a lot longer than AI. You'll know that because I've made mistakes in the past. I've corrected those mistakes. I use research, etc., and so forth. I have red hair. AI would not be generated with red hair. I can tell you that much right off the hop. But please do not hesitate in any capacity to hit that subscribe button. It is the kind free thing to do for the channel. And the Geek Crew, who is anyone who has hit that subscribe button in the comments down below, will tell you it's a really fun place to be. They are not being held hostage. They are not being paid for this. They just genuinely say it's a good place to be out of the goodness of their hearts. Now you're probably thinking, Ashley, we're talking about cucurbits. We're talking about squash. We're talking about things that are not tomatoes. And you would be 100% correct. But I actually did do a video on kind of common myths about gardening. And one of said myths about gardening was removing the flowers. Now here, hold on. Just hold. There's a small disclaimer I should have added to that video. In that video, we discussed specifically tomatoes and peppers. Here's the thing. Removal of flowers from tomatoes and peppers is something that I used to do. It's something I firmly believed in. It is something I no longer do. The reason for that, short growing season. There's only so many flowers that these bad boys can produce in that season. And every single flower is self-pollinating. And every single flower can and will produce fruit. So if you remove flowers off of tomatoes and peppers, then you're actually reducing your yield. You're reducing the timing of your yield, you're reducing the total yield, etc., and so forth. So In my humble opinion, there is, if you harden off properly, if you use the bucket method, the Leona bucket method, I'm going to call it because it's a method my grandma used for ever since I was very, very little. And now I've grandfathered that in. But if you use that, leave the flowers on these guys. The exception to this and the caveat I should have put in that video, and generally I'm pretty good at kind of making sure I put those little kind of nuances in there. This one I missed. These squash, cucurbits, that sort of thing. If you started these from seed and you transplanted them, these plants are notorious for transplant shock. They freak out when they're put outdoors, particularly if you're not using like a compostable pot or biodegradable pot of some sort and you're fiddle-futzing with those roots. They tend to go a little bit crazy. So these guys, I would remove those flowers from. There's a little bit of truth there because it can then actually help your plant focus on keeping the leaves, which is the valuable part, the roots, etc., and so forth. The other thing here is that I can almost guarantee, I can say with absolute certainty that they're all male flowers. There's probably little to no female flowers on there, and you do need pollination to take place for anything to really develop. So leave the females, but definitely remove the males if you are having. But anyways, if you feel like you do kind of sense some transplant shock, that sort of thing, remove those males for sure. Maybe remove that female. Females are kind of sometimes a little bit few and far between. There's actually ways to avoid that. I've done entire videos on how to actually ensure that you get more females than males. If you want a new video on that, let me know in the comments down below. But yeah, that would be kind of the only one that holds any sort of truth. So the key here is that you should not touch the plant at all, ever. Don't touch the tendrils. Don't touch the leaves. I mean, really, you don't have to touch the flowers unless you've got some major signs of issues. Then you could touch the flowers and hypothetically it could help. But the only time you should do anything, remove suckers, touch leaves, do anything of any sort, is if you have very obvious signs of major disease, like it's taken the plant over. So we're talking like it was 10% the day before and now suddenly it's already 25 in 24 hours. It's a sign you need to get on it and remove that. If you need to improve airflow because you know in the past you've had powdery mildew issues and you're smart because you hit subscribe to this channel, you know that powdery mildew overwinters in the soil, in the mulch, in your compost, that sort of thing, then you're going to prune for airflow and kind of keeping things moving. If you have a pest problem, you know to remove that. You guys kind of get the idea there. The tendrils, just don't touch them. That's just dumb. And yeah, if you guys want to actually follow me on Instagram and send me crazy reels that you see, or TikTok for that matter, and you see anything crazy and you want to send it to me, please do. I'm more than happy to either kind of dub them, if you will, or do a whole video on, such as in this case. And with that being said, I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.